We know him internationally as DJ Black Coffee. For the benefit of our discussion, he's Nati. That's who he actually is. Nati, a father, a son, a friend, and of course he won a Grammy. Let's not forget that. Do you ever pinch yourself? Do you ever sit and think and watch videos of you at the Grammys?
Definitely.
And think, is that actually me?
Definitely.
This imposter syndrome that we all go through.
Oh my gosh. There's been so many, even in on my journey, instances where I do things just to low-key destroy what I've built, because it will feel better if it's destroyed by me.
Sure.
Than by other people or their opinions or what they write on Twitter about me or whatever, you know. And it's something that at some point was very constant, where I'm like, I go to the top and then I get reminded that, guy, who do you think you are? And I believe that. And I come back and I ask the same question to myself. I'm like, but who did I think I was?
Here. How has your relationship with mental health shifted as a man? Because we've got so many narratives created around men and mental health and whether or not they should be vulnerable and express it and talk about it. We've had a long conversation about that this morning.
First thing, when you say mental health as a township boy, the first thing that comes to mind is mental health as in mental sickness. That's the first thing that comes to mind. So can you imagine what happened when I got this invitation? I'm like,
why me?
Do they think I'm crazy? You know, like, because that's the first thing that comes to mind. And that's the first stigma that needs to be fixed. So there's us in this room, and I'm going to call us the 1%. We are able to dissect what mental health is, and we do it very well, and we can deal with it. But there's 99% out there who doesn't know what you even mean when you start opening that subject, you know. And it's one of the reasons why we are stagnant as a country, because we don't apply our minds. We haven't trained them enough to get ourselves out of the hole.
We're here talking about mental health. We're here talking about looking after ourselves, those around us. So my question to you then is, how have you balanced this massive success with yourself, and how hard or easy has it been?
First of all, I'm nervous. This is not what I do. I think what made me feel better is to hear my song when I walked in. Speaking is not one of my strengths. You know, I never went to the kind of schools that my kids go to, you know, where you are kind of like coached into learning how to speak and present yourself publicly. So it's something I had to learn along the way, which, if you think about it deeply, can affect your mental health too. Because when you walk into a room, like I'm in the bank right now, you know, and you rewind and go back, all I wanted to do was to DJ. You know, I never thought I could be invited to speak to a group of professionals. It's something I had to learn to deal with, you know, as I was growing as an artist and as a human being, to take every stride and understand that every level of my growth needs a next level of me being tough. I've always looked at my brain as it may sound weird to other people, but as my pet. You know, something I love dearly. If it has done something great, I need to encourage it. I need to look after it. I need to always make sure it's well looked after. You know, it's one of the strongest things that I have besides the talent, because without it, I would have long stopped, doing what I'm doing, because doing what I do brings so many challenges. Challenges like I said, I was not prepared for. And no one will ever prepare you for these kind of challenges, and I always look even at newer artists who come through and they break through. And there's a career ahead to sing, not to be the best dressed, not to be the coolest in the room, not to be the smartest in the room.
And that scrutiny is at a whole different level.
You answer one question wrong, then there's this immense pressure that comes with it. I did an interview 2 weeks ago in London with Steve that I think many of you have seen now. It's been out. And it's quite an in-depth interview for me because I hardly speak that far about my life and everything else. And then the response I get from the world is very insightful, very amazing. It was nice to learn. We love how you think. And, I'm out there, right? Then I land in South Africa, and then I pick up Johannesburg trends, on social media. Basically, local media took just one part of that interview and made it about how I bought a house next door so that I can party. So.
And in that moment, how are you processing that? What are you feeling in that moment, knowing that there was such a broader context?
5 years ago, it would have hit me so hard, like, okay, I need to fly out again. So many of my friends are like, what are you still doing here? Why do you stay here? Because we speak about the anxieties of living in this country. And just as artists, forget the politics and everything that's happening. Opportunities that are out there, the outlook of our people, how they see things versus how the world sees things. And I love home. I love being here, but in the past, and I used to say this, when I'm on a flight home, everything just changes. Like when I'm on the line at the airport, they don't, and at once, I just don't know which airport I was coming home and I was standing in line and I was on the business class line, obviously. And this lady with the daughter, they were also on the line and they were behind me. And the mother is like, I actually think we're in the wrong line. And I'm about to fly home, and so it's a child. So she's like, no, I think we're fine. And she's like, yeah, I don't think we're in the right line, So internally, as also a South African with our given past, I've had to learn to not internalize those things, not make them about myself, but it takes immense work on just understanding who I am and train my brain to be the strongest muscle in my body.
I love what you said about your brain. Treating it as a pet, I find it very, very deep. And is that something you say you've taught yourself over the years?
Definitely.
And that shift, why speak out now in a way that you have, where you haven't spoken like this before?
I think everything has its time. There's also just like a level of wisdom that comes with just growing up. Sometimes you can say things prematurely and you're not ready and you don't have like a broader context of things. I think I've been more aware of who I am now than I was before. I think there was a time where I kind of like walked a path of what society expects me to be. And I tried my best to do that, because I came from an environment where things are supposed to be like this. So I've never done anything else in my life. It's only been music ever since I was young. I enrolled in music class in junior secondary. I went to high school, I did music. I went to tertiary, I studied music. My first job was in a record store selling records in Pretoria, and I've never done anything else. This is all I know, right? And therefore, just by that, my journey is so different from my father, who worked in a factory making chocolates and sweets in Durban, and even if he was like a present father, his advice about career wouldn't hit me, wouldn't talk to me. You kind of like mold yourself based on everyone around you, your family, your close relatives, and you try to follow their paths. And so when I started releasing music and I'm doing gigs now and I'm starting to make a little bit of money, then I kind of like had a house, and then people come, they're like, you now need to find a wife. Because that's how it works. You first make the money and then you need to find a wife. There's a certain steps that society follows, and I felt pressured to do that. I have a son who's 23 who started DJ, and I am making sure that he does what he wants with his life. I'm not telling him to find a wife. When he finished matric, he was like, I need a gap year, I need to figure out myself. And I said, cool. A year later, I'm like, okay, what's the story now? You getting old and you just chilling.
Yeah. You speak about your father's parenting style.
Yeah.
How has that informed how you parent? And how does that inform how you are in the family circle?
For me, parenting is quite a journey. And I've had to, in my head, press a reset button so that I don't follow what I followed, once again, like society. And this not following society is the reason I'm sitting here. Even with music, I've always been that DJ that was never commercial enough to play at big events before I was known, or deep enough to play at the deep events, because I always played what I wanted. So it was like an acquired tasting, and the music I created was never based on what's happening on the scene at the time. It's either you feel it or you don't. So, and I understood I'm going to kind of like create a niche and grow that niche. And everywhere I go, I'm pleading the gospel of the black coffee niche, and hopefully it becomes, a bigger audience.
But that determination to follow your own path, irrespective of what the industry trends are, takes enormous resilience and really strong belief in yourself, I would imagine.
So as an artist, you come up with a song in a room alone, and you make the song and you finish it and you tell yourself, this song is gonna be loved by everyone. That's the power of being an artist. You don't go and lobby it first and play it in radio stations before you release it to get people's opinion. It's also in the making of being an artist to have that kind of a mind. You have to have that kind of resilience. You have to have that kind of a mind that doesn't just get swayed easily by comments.
And block out any noise that you're hearing around
Definitely. And in my career, there's been so many of those. I mean, we spoke about the Grammy earlier. I won a BET award, and I said it even then when I won an award, because what they did or what they do is they group Africans. So it's an international award, but you're still competing with fellow Africans. And what people don't know, maybe they do, then they invite you on Friday. The main show is on Saturday. So when I'm nominated, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to the BET Awards. And I was staying in LA at the time. I was so excited. We're going to sit next to Beyonce maybe, We're going to go to the main show. We're going to be on the red carpet, and then we were told, actually, you coming on Friday. Yeah, you African people, you're going to come on Friday. We're going to give you an award on Friday. But don't worry, on Saturday when the show plays on TV, we're going to edit it so that your people at home are going to see you receiving the award.
But you're not actually at the Saturday
There was
event.
no ticket for Saturday. Do you understand what I mean? So it's nice. I'm like, wow. But I'm like, I deserve to compete with the world's greatest. So
Yes.
And this is not just about me. This is not just me. I just feel like coming from this continent, what we never got or what is lacking is opportunity. That's it. I don't care in what space. We have the talents and the brains and the genius to compete with the world's greatest. And I felt that for myself. And so when I was working on my last album, I knew that I didn't want the African category in the Grammys because I wanted to be nominated for the Grammys. And I was clear with my team. I'm like, this album must be nominated at the Grammys, but we don't want that category. So we worked towards that. And then the nomination came and it was the right one. Then the award came and it was the right one, but it just took being aware and working towards and being resilient and knowing exactly what are the steps, what is needed. I represented a bigger picture, which was the continent, and I wanted the continent to be accepted and given an opportunity the right way, and just the nomination was a good enough nod for me. So, I mean, looking at the nominations, I mean, it's Black Coffee, but Marshmello in America, a big artist, Major Lazer, so I thought, but I also want to talk about, because so many people were touched by what I said about being a smaller artist. I always see myself as a smaller artist. I always see myself as not the smartest person in the room. I always get in the room and be the most quiet. Because for me, that's my strength. Mm-hmm. My strength is being able to not be big enough to listen and not be big enough so that I can learn in any room I walk into. And in a world of music, I'll always be the small artist because that's how I'm able to absorb and learn from everyone who's done this before me. So I didn't mean I'm small because I'm from South Africa. They're like, oh, you embarrassed us. How can you say you're small? You're a giant here. And I'm small because that's how I want to see myself. That's the best way for me to learn, basically.
When you get vulnerable, what does that look like? Do you cry?
Crying? My gosh. I cried like about a week ago. And I said this, and I'm sure my friend China is shocked because he doesn't know about it. I haven't done therapy in a while now. What I've been doing is I'm seeing a life coach who's very brutally honest, and sometimes she just tells me things as they are in a way that I didn't see them and I don't want to hear it because I like spraying the room with perfume so it can smell nice as me. I like painting my world and the people around me so that they can be shiny as me. And then the questions are, but did they ask for that? And then, the pin dropped, So we've had so many of these conversations where I'm like, they are ungrateful. This is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm doing, and I'm trying my best, and I'm the only one pushing so hard. I don't sleep. And the question is, but did they ask for it? Because it hit so hard. I started crying, and I didn't like cry a little bit. I cried a lot. You know,
soulful.
Yeah, because I haven't done it in a while, and I haven't because how strong my muscle is, which is not a healthy thing at the same time. But it's also important to note that you have to be selfish about training your mind, because if you get into depression, you're on your own. It's going to be so hard if you get into drug addiction, alcohol addiction, it's going to be so hard for other people to help you. So you have to make sure that preventing that, you use every strong method to never get in that hole.
What is your message to aspiring artists, not just in South Africa, but the world over, in terms of keeping it together somehow?
It's not complicated, you know, and I've had conversations locally. Being an artist is such a complex thing on its own, just mentally, because you are this kid who's fascinated by stardom at an early age, and only you know how much you want it, and you work towards it in your brain, and you want it and you want it and you want it. And other kids are having normal lives, they're doing their schoolwork, and you are obsessed with being a superstar. And when you become one, you definitely need help. You cannot become a public persona without help. I don't care who you are. And this, whether you are going through stuff or not, because the minute you leave your dream, you need a team of people that are gonna come and help you become a better version of yourself, because you are not the same person that you were.
So the message to young artists the world over, I imagine your legacy is very much entrenched as a professional, as a music producer, as a DJ. What legacy do you want to leave for your children specifically?
Man, I obsess with that so much, you know, especially lately. One of the things I obsess about just as an artist is stories of people who did this before me, whether in sports or in music. I enjoyed watching Michael Jordan's story, you know, and when I watch it, I watch everything. I'm like, I look at the surroundings, I'm like, this is probably his house. You know, it's probably on the hill somewhere. I want the success thing to last, because we haven't had that in this country.
Generational success.
Yeah, where an artist, you know, goes through their career and in the end they're able to invest right and make all the right decisions with money, and then they retire comfortably. I want to make sure that my kids don't have to go through carrying me, and you know, we call it black tax. You know, I paid a lot of that, and SARS too.
Yeah.
So I don't want that to happen to I want them to kind of like have a head start.
I love that. I love it. I love your focus. I love your energy. I love that you've given us of your time.
You love that I smell good.
I really do. And you've been so generous with your time. We've actually even gone a little bit over. So I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for opening up to us today with an audience that I think has really valued and latched onto every single word of yours.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
We will continue watching. We will continue being proud. And many of us will watch moments like that at the Grammys and shed yet another tear, because you've got South Africa behind you, irrespective of, you know, social media. But we're not going to end on that. We're going to end on the note that says, thank you for making us so proud, for giving us hope, for being honest, for being vulnerable, and sharing with us some of your wisdom, because I think that's exactly what we've got here today. Some very, very wise words. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a massive round of applause. DJ Black Coffee.
Thank you.